generous deed lives longer than a great battle, or a king's decree, or a scholar's essay. The bargain that I made with the Nook Prince changed my plans for all time, to deliver toys on Christmas Eve. So I decided to vote all the other days of the year to make the playthings the world calls toys. And even the Gnome King presented a gift for me, a string of sweet, toned sleigh bells. Just listen to their merry sound. So then I needed a new sledge, a bigger and better one, and it was carefully built, high and wide, with large sides so many toys could be carried. Glossy said happily, "We will pull you over slow, but we can't pull you fast enough to visit the faraway cities and villages in a single night." Flossie chimed in, "The Nook Prince allows you as many as 10, dear. Then we could speed like lightning and leap to the highest roofs with ease." So Glossy and Flossie went to the forest to enlist some more sleighmates, and I soon began to consider the question of a harness for them. The 10 reindeer appeared, and Flossie introduced them. There was Racer and Pacer, and Reckless and Spreckless, Fearless and Peerless, and Ready and Steady, who with Glossy and Flossie made 10. They were exceedingly beautiful. The deer wore new strings and sleigh bells. Oh, they were so delighted with the music that they kept prancing to make the bells ring. Well, I seated myself on the sledge and I signaled them to start. Instantly, the 10 leaped forward. They were like the wind. Now away we go over the frozen snow with a ho, 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 ho. Now on to Christmas Eve. You see, the weather was snowy and icy and wet. The children's shoes were placed by the hearth, where the heat from the hot embers would warm them, and their stockings were carefully hung in a row by the chimney to dry. And I thought, why, if all children hung their stockings, it would save a lot of time and I could visit more children. Ho, ho! Why, the word spread, and the next year I found so many children's stockings hung by the chimney with care that I could fill them in a jiffy. Ha! One morning, when the deer stopped before a lonely tent where the children lay asleep, I planted a pine tree in the sand, and I stuck many candles on the branches, and then I hung some of my prettiest toys on the tree. And the next morning, the children joined hands and danced around the tree, shouting and laughing. And the idea of a Christmas tree pleased me. And so, the following year, I carried many of them on my sledge, and I set them up in homes of people who seldom saw trees, and I placed candles and toys on the branches. And so this continued year after year, and I learned something along the way, that through goodness, I could conquer the hearts of all. Oh, my long beard gradually became gray and finally turned white, and there are wrinkles in the corners of my eyes. I was never a tall man, and now I had become fat, and I waddle like a duck. The time will come when every mortal who has grown old and lived his life is required to leave this world for another. One day, my friends whispered that I had probably drawn my sledge for the last time. Oh, and then all the forest of Brazil became sad, and the Laughing Valley was hushed. I will admit that all my strength was now exhausted. That midnight, there was a wondrous scene in the forest of Brazil. There gathered in a large circle immortals, all called together by Arc Och stood to address them. Och recounted the story of my arrival in Berzee and how I had been adopted by Nessil, and I was a child of the forest. And Och said boldly, I wish to bestow upon Claus the mantle of immortality. The immortals were quite surprised. Och responded quietly, the mantle exists, and it was created because the Supreme Master knew that someday it would be required. Until now, no mortal has deserved it. But who among you dares to deny that good Claus deserves it? Will you not all vote to bestow the mantle upon him? And in that moment, they all raised their hands and their voices, and they danced and they sang, yes, 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 we bestow the mantle on Claus, the mantle of immortality. From this day forth, let him be known as the patron saint of children. Oh, the next morning, when I opened my eyes and I gazed around my home, I was astonished to find my old strength had renewed and to feel the red blood of perfect health coursing through my veins. At the time, I did not understand what had happened to restore my vigor of youth. And then Och came to tell me about the mantle of immortality and how I had won it through my love for little children. To think I had been so favored. One Christmas Eve, when my reindeer had leaped to the top of a new building, I was surprised to find that the chimney was much smaller than usual. But I had no time to think about it, so I drew in my breath and I made myself as small as possible to slide down the chimney. Finally, I reached the roof and I said to the reindeer, why, there's no need for me to go down that chimney, for I could find no fireplace through which to enter the house. I fear the children who live there must go without playthings this Christmas. Besides, I was nearly stuck in that narrow flue and it tore my jacket to try to get out. What in the world are people thinking to build such useless chimneys? The following year, I found more and more of these new-fashioned chimneys with no fireplaces. Why, the fairies and the elves, they had an idea. Why, walls and bricks and wood and plaster have nothing to the fairies. We can easily pass through them whenever we wish. Oh, take us with you on your next journey. And when we come to one of those houses with stoves instead of fireplaces, we'll help distribute the toys without need of using a chimney. And that was how the fairy and the pixie and the nook and the riles and the elves all rode the sled with me the following Christmas. And they had no trouble at all entering those new-fashioned houses. Hooray! So, to lighten my task, I decided to ask parents to assist me. Get your Christmas trees all ready for my coming. See that the children's stockings are hung by the chimney with care so that I can fill them as quick as a wink. I will make all loving parents my deputies, and they shall help me with my work. To this day, I continue to carry around big packs in my swift flying sledge, and now I send great heaps of toys to the toy shops. I decided that no child, if I could help it, should long for toys in vain. Nowadays, there are millions and millions more children in the world than there used to be. So my many helpers make their busy fingers fly faster to satisfy their demands. Oh, I hope you enjoyed my story. I've had a very fortunate but busy life, so I'm glad Mr. Baum had time to write it all down for me. I'm often asked for advice, and this is what I tell. In all the world, there's nothing so beautiful as a happy child. And if I had my way, children would all be beautiful and all would be happy. The end.